Hello and welcome to my podcast, Up Your Total Glow. I'm so excited that you are here with me today. And I've got something very special today because today I'm talking to Deepak Chari. Deepak is the co-founder of the Chari Center of Health. He is an engineer and certified biofeedback specialist. And his work helps people to release emotional blocks. And as you all know, emotional blocks affect everything. So he really helps you to have better relationships, to make better career choices, and to really have an overall better life. And I can't wait to jump right into it. Here he is, the amazing Deepak. How are you today?
Wonderful, Ruth. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, I'm very excited. Okay, it's exciting because you are pretty much at the other end of the world. It's nighttime at your end. Here it's morning and it's summer. At your end it's winter, and we can still make this work. So this is awesome. And I would like to start with the question, what made you choose this work? How did you come into the amazing work that you are doing today? Because I feel there might be a whole history behind it.
You are so correct. It started with my challenging emotional journey from childhood, actually,
Wow.
from the age of around 8 or 9.
Mm.
You see, when I was growing up, I was a very much a bookworm kind of person, kind of secluded and very shy, had no self-confidence, self-esteem, or even self-worth for that matter. So I was pretty much hiding away in the library, at times bullied as well. So my safe space was the library, unbeknownst to me. So when I would hide between different aisles for long periods of time, I would say, okay, since I'm hiding here, I may as well occupy my time in some way. So I would reach behind me, grab whatever books I could. And I didn't realize, Ruth, that those books happened to be on the law of attraction. Only
Mm.
later on I knew. Books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends, Influence People, As a Man Thinketh, wonderful books by Dr. Joseph Murphy, and on and on. So, and I was doing anything to kind of make myself feel better about myself to face the challenging world I was in on a day-to-day basis. This continued throughout my elementary school, junior high, and even into high school. It changed forms from being kind of pushed around to, well, you don't fit in our group. I don't think you don't really fit with us. So I was alone. Once I graduated from high school, I thought, okay, this pattern will probably end, right? Because these are these immature kids bullying me around. But I found it continued in different ways. You see, I attracted friends, classmates, professors, bosses, supervisors, managers, and even relationships. But all of them were still bullying, controlling, manipulistic, cruel, condescending, gaslighting, every name in the book. And these were
Mm.
my friends and acquaintances. So I kind of thought to myself, well, I guess I should be happy with what I have. It's better to have these horrible people, than nobody. That was my thinking, at least. But then I kind of thought, then when the movie The Matrix came out, I kind of thought, wait a minute, is this kind of a program? Like, if people are familiar, your listeners, viewers, Neo and Morpheus, like, is this a program that I've been dealt that can be removed or changed or optimized? But I kind of just didn't really know much about that. So fast forward, as you mentioned, my sister and I co-formed the Chari Center of Health. Chari's our last name. The reason we called it that is in tribute to our father, because flashback to the past, when I was a teenager also, I noticed my father was under a lot of stress and anxiety, but he kind of held it in. I didn't know that at the time. You see, I would give him his high blood pressure medications and other pharmaceutical things for different organ issues. And every day I thought, okay, the doctor said this will help him with his high blood pressure. I didn't even know why he had the high blood pressure though. I found out. Then suddenly, at the age of 51, he had a massive heart attack and just passed away, died like that. So my mom was an instant young widow with two teenage kids. And my sister and I looked at each other and said, why did this happen? How did this happen? Then we even thought, could we actually in some way in the future prevent this from happening to anyone else, what happened here? So fast forward, my sister went into medicine only for the purpose of practicing natural medicine. That is natural uh, uh, medicine, which incorporates all kinds of natural techniques and technologies to get people off the medications and find a natural solution to their medical issues. So my sister and I formed a partnership to do that in tribute to our father. So as I was working as an engineer in the field, because I became an engineer because my father was an engineer, he was my inspiration. I saw all the people she was healing. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. No drugs, nothing, and getting these amazing results. I would like to do the same thing. But I don't have an engineer, I don't have a medical background. So remember, Ruth, I was stuck in the library reading all those books on the law of attraction? Well, that actually fit in here because then I told myself, universe, if you can manifest stuff, can I manifest working in our own center that I'm managing to heal people like she is, even though I don't have a medical degree? I put my intention just like that.
Mhm.
A few weeks later, some friends came up to me and said, Deepak, this guy's going to be speaking in Santa Monica, California. We lived in San Diego, California at the time, which wasn't that far from there, about how your voice reveals all your limiting subconscious beliefs, negative thoughts, negative emotions, self-sabotage, guilt, shame, regret, whatever it is, from your voice, super accurately. But most importantly, how from your analysis of the voice using computerized voice maps, I could find out what frequencies to send to these people to release those limiting patterns. That's what he was talking about.
Mm.
So I was so inspired. I said, wait a minute, this light bulb came on. Didn't I put that intention to the universe? Maybe this is something I could do. After all, I have a technical background. So I went up to him and said, I would like to apprentice with you. And he said, well, I'm going to only take one more person, basically. I'm only going to train a handful of people. And I was one of the last ones because apparently he had some health issues and he didn't want to do any more. And I was in the right place at the right time. So I learned everything. He coached me. He said, I think you've got it pretty good now. So then I thought, this is good. I learned a new skill, how to clear these emotional patterns. But I thought, wait a minute, I have my own pattern here, this bullying pattern. Could I actually clear that pattern? So I optimized everything he taught me with my engineering background, streamlined things, cut the time on some of the things he was doing, and got the same result in faster. And I called my program my Life Transformation Technology Program because I was seeing how it transformed lives for others. So I worked on myself. And when I did, there's a feeling of peace you get when you release these patterns. And it shows also in the computerized technology voice maps. So I saw that. So I said, okay, I feel I've released it. I feel definitely calmer and more confident about myself. Then what happened soon after that? Remember all those horrible people that were around me all the time? They suddenly started saying to me, you know, Deepak, I don't want to be around you anymore. You don't fit with me anymore. And they started leaving in hordes. Everybody. And I said, oh my God, I'm losing all these wonderful people. I mean, horrible people, I should say. Not wonderful at all. I thought it's better to have horrible people than nobody, remember?
Mhm.
But they all left. But guess what? Soon after they left, within a few weeks later, these wonderful people seemingly appeared out of nowhere, caring, compassionate, loving, supportive, positive, the exact opposite. And I had no concept, Ruth, of even what that was. And I shared this with your viewers and listeners because even if you had no concept of what a loving, nurturing relationship is, whether friendship, personal relationship, or any way, you can have it
Mm.
because I had no clue of it either. So then I thought, okay, then I can do the same for others. So I started working on one after another till hundreds of people all over the US and world, in different many countries all over the world, starting with my own journey.
I absolutely love it. What a powerful journey. Thank you so much for sharing. And it's definitely amazing how strongly you manifested your whole life for the worse or for the better. And I love how you share what power energy really holds. Yeah, and thank you so much for having such a strong soul that really wanted to heal first yourself and now is on a mission to actually expand that and make our world a healthier, happier place. That is absolutely awesome. And we
Thank you.
all want this because we all have patterns. And I, for myself, find that I'm breaking through some patterns and then I notice, oh, there are more. I feel there are always new patterns that are emerging that I can break through. So, how do we do that? How do you release those patterns, those subconscious patterns that hold us prison or that keep us in the loop of attracting the wrong people, the scarcity mindset, or whatever it is?
Absolutely. Well, you see, in this process of learning this whole process through my own very challenging journey, I've discovered that there are four phases that we all go through, and this is part of the process. You see, the first phase is when our parents decide to procreate us, and I'm being very direct here.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, in the moment they are creating this new child to be, whatever feelings, regrets, guilt, shame, frustrations, sadness, whatever they have in that moment of procreation, a certain percentage of that energy gets downloaded into this new energy being that's just barely being created. You see, this energy being, which is us, has nothing in the hard drive, clean hard drive, nothing at all. But the unresolved emotions of dad and also of mom get downloaded into the mix. What if your father was thinking, I'm not happy where I am in my life right now. I'm not so happy in this relationship with this woman. Um, and I had a lot of trials and tribulations and traumas in my life which I never got over. Well, all of that, a certain percentage of that gets downloaded into our energy field as a child or when we're being born. But that's not the only thing. The unresolved issues of our grandparents, a certain percentage of them, also gets downloaded into the mix.
Mm.
And I actually quantify this in the work I do in the first session. So it explains why things happen in our life the way they did. You see, in my case, remember I talked about the bullying pattern. Where the heck did that come from? And this will all connect to your question. It came from my parents and grandparents. You see, the reason why my father suddenly was gone like that, which he never told, and he didn't want to burden his family with the stress and anxiety he was under, but he was being bullied by his own bosses, you see? And he was probably bullied as a kid as well. And his grandparents and my grandparents as well, you see. That's what downloaded to me. That's why I had those experiences like that. Unfortunately, I was able to clear it for the better. But that's where that came from. But then we go through phase two, Ruth. Phase two is when you're in your mother's womb for 9 months, incubating and absorbing every thought, feeling, and emotion your mother has in every second, microsecond. But what if she's having fights with your dad? What if she's unhappy with her current life? What if she didn't want to have this child? I never wanted this child. What is the message to the child? I'm not wanted. I never was, and the mother doesn't even have to say that to the kid. The kid picks up this energy. So all that goes into the mix, right? So that's phase two. But then you're born in phase three, the next phase. Now you have the direct interface with the parents, maybe grandparents, people older than us, uncles, aunts, teachers, other people in our field who influence us greatly. Because I found from the age of 0 to 7, whatever is said or even done to the child is just not questioned at all.
Mm.
It just bypasses the conscious reasoning and goes right to the subconscious. So if the parent or teacher or somebody said, oh, you're not that good, you're not worthy, you're not talented, you're not beautiful, you'll never amount to anything. Why didn't you have the talent in the family like all of us did? I guess you didn't get that. Look at how beautiful that girl is, neighbors across the street. Look how talented and how good she is in school and how good she is in all of it. How come you didn't get that?
Mm.
All that affects the child's perception of themselves, you see. Um, so that's phase three. But then there's a phase four. And phase four is when you take phase one, two, and three, which I discussed, and apply it into your own life. What then happens is you repeat the patterns of your parents and grandparents, unbeknownst to you, into your own life. And then guess what? into your kids' lives,
Mm.
and they do the same thing. This is the pattern that keeps repeating over and over again. But through this process I've developed, you can literally, like a rocket ship, break through that and create a whole new frontier, not repeating the patterns of the past, keeping the wisdom of the past, but creating your own frontier of a new experiences and new growth versus repeating the patterns of the past. So, in answer to your question, now that you know those your audience knows the four phases, when I do a session, I first start out, and this is all done remotely now. I used to do it in office before. They have a computer, they have a laptop, they have a headset with a swing down mic. There's a technology I send to them as a practitioner to plug into their computer that they place their hand on. And I will take them to an altered state of consciousness with the technology. And when they're in their altered state, I'll briefly ask them in maybe 15 to 20 second blocks, tell me about your mom when they're in the altered state. What was she like with you as a kid? Tell me about your dad. And what I do is create these computerized voice maps, like an emotional heat, subconscious heat map of what the emotional pattern is. That is in your relationship to your mom, in your relationship to your dad. What was your subconscious perception of them when you're growing up as a kid, in other words? Was there a lot of anger? Was there a lot of sadness? Was there a lot of fear? Was there, whatever it may, or trauma, or whatever it may be? I do the same thing for the relationships that person had, the current ones or past ones. Because if we don't clear those will, guess what, repeat in the future. And then lastly, and then next we go to what's going on in their current life as well. And lastly, the cherry on top, clearing the imprints they picked up from their grandparents.
Mm.
So that's the structure of how I work on a client. Parents, key childhood events which we've all had that were traumatic, like my bullying or somebody's mental, emotional abuse or whatever happened. What's going on in your current life, relationships, and then grandparents. Now we've worked on the whole entire matrix of what created these patterns to begin with. That's the process I follow.
Wow, super, super powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love how you straight dive into the subconscious because I do think most of us are aware of patterns and trying to become a better person or do it differently to the parents or maybe even to the grandparents. But I feel this is the tip of the iceberg. And what we don't see is all of what's underneath the subconscious. And I feel you kind of are no bullshitting, but cutting right through and going into the subconscious with your amazing process. And this is very effective. This is awesome. And I felt so seen when you described what's happening with people who find themselves in all of these patterns of, yeah, not being wanted, not, all of these things that I feel we all have in one form or the other. So thank you so much. This makes so much sense to me. Okay, can you describe what happens when you and I work? So you now know that I have patterns that I want to get rid of, and I'm in this session, and you go straight into my subconscious and help me to release them. So, how does this show up differently in my life then? Or can you share examples?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How about I give an example for your viewers and listeners,
Awesome.
and it'll kind of give a concrete example of that. I had a woman who went through so many trials and tribulations, mental, emotional, and even physical abuse, unfortunately. But she somehow got through it. It's unbelievable how she even survived it. But she somehow got through it and decided to inspire women, in her case, of what she went through, but how she got through it ultimately and became on her own like an independent businesswoman. So for almost a decade, she was giving this presentation over and over again. But when she would give the presentation, telling what she went through and how she overcame it, the women in the audience, as she told me, were kind of looking and gossiping with each other, not even looking at her. And no emotions came from them when she was sharing her heartfelt pain and stories of what she went through
Mm.
in the abuse. And when she came to the climax of how she overcame it, She was expecting some triumphant emotion from the audience, but nobody responded. She was so frustrated. At that time I had an office, but now it's remote. She came and saw me and she said, Deepak, I don't get it. For so many years I've been presenting this heartfelt information of how I can change and empower these women. Nobody's responding. What's going on? So I said, okay, I've been listening to you as you're speaking to me about what the challenges I went through, and there's something I need to share with you. She said, well, take a look at my PowerPoint, would you please? Maybe there's something I need to change in the words. I said, well, okay, I'll look at your PowerPoint. Yes, your PowerPoint is perfect. Okay, then what is the issue? Well, it's not the PowerPoint.
Mm.
It's you. Meaning when I'm listening to you, I don't hear most of you. I don't hear most of the notes in your voice, you see? You see, it's based on the science, and I'll connect you with the story, that every cell in our body, let's say we have 60 trillion cells, has a keyboard.
Mm.
Let's say you have 12 keynotes. And if we had these different emotions, and that's what the science is based on, different emotions squelch different keys of that internal keyboard. So let's say we're angry or frustrated or sad or worried or fearful. Different emotions squash different keys. If we have a couple of those emotions, many of the keys are squashed, which means they're not heard. So guess what? We are not heard.
Mm.
And if we are not heard, we are not seen. That's why that woman wasn't seen or heard. So I told her that. So I worked on her, going right to her childhood. That's where all those phases, 4 phases I talked about came from. Cleared the imprints from her mom, her dad, key childhood events, releasing the emotional charge and literally rewiring it in an optimal way, and her relationships and so on and so forth. So I said, okay, you are now ready to speak again. My assignment for you is I want you to speak to the same group of women again. Then she said to me, Deepak, are you kidding? That was the most humiliating experience I ever had. Why would I do it again? I said, you're not the same woman. I
Mm.
verified that. Your voice is completely resonant and powerful, and I can guarantee you. And report back to me what you find out. Okay, she says. She gives the presentation. The first time after I do the session on her, as she starts the presentation, remember the women would never listen? Tears started coming from the women's eyes in the beginning when she's told about all the mental, emotional, physical abuse that happened. When she got to the climax, the women stood on their feet and thunderously applauded.
Mm.
Never happened before. So she said, she came back to me and said, Deepak, you won't believe it. The first presentation, all the women responded. They came to my table, bought my courses. And I said exact word for word what was in the PowerPoint as I did before. What was the change? I said, oh, the change was in you.
Mm.
And that reflected in your voice. So in answer to your question, people are seen, heard, valued, understood, acknowledged, and given importance in a way they never were. People who would never give the other person the time of day will suddenly be leaning in and listening. Oh, tell me more. Because the resonance of your sound of your voice is so powerful. Here's another example. We walk into a club, right? There's a beautiful piano there. You tell me, Ruth, you say, Deepak, play me my favorite song. I'll say, I'll play you your favorite song. It's not actually my top favorite song. I like it, but I'll play it for you since I play piano. I played the song for you. Perfect note. Deepak, stop, you say. But Ruth, this is your favorite song. Why do you want me to stop playing your favorite song? I don't know. When you're playing it, it just irritates me. It makes me like racks my nerves. I don't know why. I said, well, let's look at the piano and find out. We go to the piano and we find out, I didn't realize this piano is maintained beautifully, but it's over 400 years old. I realized they haven't tuned it in a while, and many of the keys are stuck. So though I'm playing the keys, speaking, the keys are not playing, even though I play them all, and they're a little bit out of tune. So even though I'm playing something pleasant, it's actually irritating you, our voice when we're speaking to others,
Mm.
right? Have you ever had, or maybe your audience has ever had the experience you're talking to someone, maybe even about a nice topic, and that other person seems to be a bit irritated for some reason with us. And you're like, why are you so, I'm talking about something positive. Why are you getting irritated with me? It's not the message. It's the emotions in the message, the carrier wave. You see, when that lady previously was speaking to the audience, The message might have been good, but the emotions were on the carrier wave, literally being emailed to all the participants to their subconscious. They weren't even aware of it, you see. So that's why that piano, that favorite song would irritate you. And that's why sometimes we get that response from people. That used to happen to me before, by the way.
Mm. I can
So I don't,
100% relate to that. And I feel everyone can relate to that. And I also know how my voice changes depending on how I feel. And I like super rushed, like beforehand. I was rushed to come to this interview, wanted to be there on time. And I could even hear it in my introduction, how I was still in that in-between space and really needed to settle first. So I absolutely 100% know that this is the truth. And I also know from my own experiences that depending on how I feel, the people react to me, even though I might say exactly the same things, they hear different things from me. So yeah, 100%. This is so powerful. I would love to know. So, how many sessions do we need to see results? Obviously, you just mentioned this amazing woman saw amazing results already after one session, but what do you usually suggest and how long is one session?
sure. Well, actually, just to clarify, that was not just one session, that was several sessions because I had to clear her childhood and
Hmm.
as well as
Makes
her
sense.
parents. And so it usually, because these are imprints we picked up since childhood. I mean, over our whole lifetime. But with this process, we're clearing it in a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of that time. You see, so I start out with a set of 9 foundational sessions.
Hmm.
Because let's say with each parent, you've had them your whole life, those imprints from them. Many people do a lot of therapies one lady who had come to me who had been having me therapy for 65 years, talk therapy, and she still had the depression until I worked with her and was able to clear it in a short time. But it might take, let's say 2 or 3 or 4 sessions, depending on the amount of trauma, to clear the imprints from each parent.
Mm.
But just say it took let's say 2 or 3. So there's 2, 4. Then there's key childhood events we've all had, like my bullying, maybe someone's mental, emotional, physical abuse. Unfortunately, I worked with many clients. It's very common.
Mm.
You got and also other traumas maybe in their families, people dying and other stuff. So we got to clear all those childhood events, okay? Because remember, 0 to 7, up to age 12 actually we got to clear that. So that's where when you finish the childhood events from the mom and dad, and then the key childhood events, you'll be probably close to around 9 sessions. But remember, these are lifetime patterns. Then we can go to what's going on in your life now, and then we build from those 9, and then your relationships, and then last grandparents. So the point is though, all along the way, even when we're going, even after a couple, 3, 4 sessions and 2, 3 sessions, the person will feel
Mm.
lighter, happier. Sometimes they'll feel happy for no reason, believe it or not. And they'll feel much less triggered by the same situation on their own. So, for example, if let's say someone broke up with them in a relationship, very common thing I work with, and 99% of my clients happen to be women as well. The most common thing they tell me is, Deepak, I'm not seen, heard, validated, acknowledged, appreciated, given any importance, or understood. Okay, that's the
Mhm.
most common thing I hear. Or that they draw the same challenging relationships over and over again.
Mm.
And even though they're a very good person, it has nothing to do with what a good person they are. It's the imprints and patterns that they have. So
Excuse me, that's my dog. She's dreaming. Into my life. Okay, real life
no, no.
conversation, everyone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, so what I was thinking. So yeah, so this is how you can find out from their voice what's going on. So so the key thing is this. Yeah, so it might so 9. So what they're going to notice is if they had a breakup in their relationship, for example, they'll be angry and upset about it, and understandably for good reason.
Mm.
So as I start clearing the charge of that, it could be in that session, maybe in couple of sessions, then they on their own they'll say to me, I'll say, how do you feel about that breakup? I know it was not very nice how it happened, and the person promised you a long time with them, and then they just suddenly abruptly left you. They'll say, you know what? Yes, I had a huge charge about it, but I feel peaceful now.
Mm.
And you know what? Yes, I this whole experience made me stronger. I became a stronger person. I became a more confident person. I'll make better decisions, and I'll know definitely not what to choose like that anymore. But I'll also look for something that's best for me instead of trying to please someone else. They'll say this on their own.
Mm.
So essentially, the concept is unwiring the unresourceful things that cause the emotional trigger, releasing the emotional charge, and then rewiring it in an optimal way, completely different than it was before, thus leading to their new perception of their reality.
Mm.
Because, yes,
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally relate to that, to everything that you said. And excuse again for the interruption with my
no, it's
beautiful
beautiful.
dog. So also when you shared that some of your clients might have done years of work with a psychologist, a therapist, and they still feel stuck somehow. This is my experience very much so as well. Lots of clients come to me, but the trauma, the experiences are still stuck in the body. So they have understood it mentally. They are trying to change things, amazing routines, all the right things, and yet it's not clear. It's exactly what you're describing. It's just a little bit of a different approach that I'm using. And when you
Sure.
are able to really allow the body to release, which I feel you're doing as well,
Yeah.
through the tone, through the voice. Um, yeah, you straight away feel it. You feel lighter, you feel calmer, and you will see those small results. So I absolutely 100% know that what you're saying is so effective and so true, and I absolutely love it. And I want everyone to try it because it's just so amazing when we are able to let go by things that keep us small. How long does one of your session take? I know that most people don't have much time, they feel rushed. So can you just give them, I don't know if
Yeah.
that depends, but I feel my listeners would love to hear like how can they imagine like how long would it take? What can they
Okay,
expect?
so in the sense of clearing all of those different imprints
No,
that
just
they're
one
looking.
session if they want to start. So
Oh,
I
one session.
understood
Yeah, yeah.
that about
Oh,
nine
I see. I
sessions
see.
and we are well off, but so that they can start planning and see how long does
Sure.
one session take usually.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So the first session is an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
the first 30 minutes to 45 minutes of the first session, I will do the emotional heat computer voice mapping.
Hmm.
I will take the person to an altered state of consciousness, and then I will create an ancestral voice map, complete family tree of all of their imprints and of their conscious mind, of their a voice map of their subconscious mind, and then also of their mom, their dad, their relationships, current and past, and all of their grandparents, mother's mother, mother's father, father's mother, father's father. If they were adopted, and I've worked on many, I work on both the biological parents and the adopted parents because both of them imprinted the kid.
Mm.
By the way, I just want to add one note here. It doesn't matter if they knew them or not. I
Mm.
will still get a voice map analysis of their voice map of them.
That's
So, for
awesome.
example, if somebody said when we get to the grandparents, "Oh, Deepak, we can't do the voice map of the grandparents because they died before I was born." I'll say, "Yeah, but they may have influenced you more than your parents. I saw this a lot of times." "Well, how are you going to record it?" They'll say to me. I say, "Oh, I have an approach. Now that you're in an altered state, you see your subconscious knows all, past,
Mm.
present, and future. You may not, but your subconscious knows
Yeah.
all information. So we're accessing the field. So when they're in the altered state of consciousness, I'll say, "You had a father, right?" "Of course," they say. "Okay, imagine now that your father is here, and imagine next to him is your father's father. I know you were never told about him, but imagine there's a shadowy figure standing next to your father. I want you to put all your focus and attention on that shadowy figure who's your father's father. And I would like you to repeat this to me. I don't know anything about my father's father. I want you to keep repeating that sentence." They'll say, "What?" I say, "Just bear with me.
Mm.
Do this for me. I don't know anything about my father's father. I don't know." And it's true, they don't. but their subconscious knows everything.
Mm.
So once they're done with that recording, which is just 10 or 15 seconds, the emotional heat map may show severe, like strong anger. Then they say the same thing about the mother's mother, who they also didn't know. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about them. And it might show deep sadness,
Mm.
like grief. And the other grandparent might show complete fear. To the average ear, it sounds like, I don't know anything about this person. I don't know anything. It sounds like that. So everyone will say, well, I don't think you're going to notice anything. I'll say, oh, no, I've noticed a lot. And once I do this, the computer voice mapping will actually give an idea of the percentage of the perception that own person has taken on of that grandparent, as well as parents. And that will explain a lot of why things happen in your life the way they did. That's why the first 45 minutes is devoted to that. And it'll also explain all the relationships. I'll even explain how every relationship is related to the imprints of the parents and grandparents.
Mm.
So then they'll say, oh, that explains it. I said, okay, now that you understand this template for you, let's go ahead and start the clearing process in the remaining hour of the hour and a half, hour, 45-minute session, the first session. Then we start the clearing process,
Mm.
which is it. So then from then onwards, every session's 1 hour. And I
Wow.
do one session a week.
Okay. And
And
it's
then I will
important
also,
that it is this pattern of one session a week. So, yeah.
I generally do that. It actually only takes about 2 to 3 days to clear that pattern, to process it, I should say.
Hmm.
But by the time you schedule it, it ends up being pretty much once a week.
Hmm.
So that gives them enough time to process it.
Hmm.
And I'll give them assignments to write down the shifts they notice in their day-to-day life after we did each session.
Hmm.
Because they'll be pretty amazing when they notice that. How people interact with them different, how they respond to stress differently, how people start appearing in their life, synchronicities, law of attraction seems to happen. They would not remember it, so I have them journal all that.
Mm.
So when they review it, they'll say, oh my gosh, all these things started happening since I started doing this with you. Yeah, from the inside out. You don't even have to say affirmations.
Wow, beautiful. Absolutely love it. I would love to chat with you forever. It's truly amazing what you have created, and I'm so grateful. And I definitely want to work with you. That is so awesome. Where can we find you?
Absolutely. So to do a complimentary 15-minute consult with me, no obligations, they can go to my website, which is www.fastanxietyhelp.com. So it's FASTANXIETY help, HELP.com. And if they go to that website, they can go ahead and schedule a complimentary 15-minute session with me. No obligations, where they can pour out their heart, share all the trials and tribulations and emotional upsets going on in their life. And I will, listening to them, will customize a plan specific to them of how we can clear it for them and lead them to where they want to go.
Mm,
So that's how the
awesome.
plan works. And if they want, they can also check out the testimonials of how so many people have benefited, and they may be able to relate to them as well.
Awesome. And I love that you offer this 15-minute free call. I do exactly the same. So that's absolutely wonderful because, yeah, it really allows people to connect with you, to understand you, to see you, and it allows you to really give them a plan so they know what they can expect. And I know from the other end, like from your side, it is a lot of work that we offer 15 minutes free calls. It doesn't seem a lot, but it sums up. So I absolutely appreciate that you do that. That is awesome and absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, Ruth.
Deepak, your work is absolutely awesome, profoundly life-changing. I do think it changes our world. It makes our world, as I said, a healthier, happier place. And I'm so grateful for you and that you, yeah, didn't give up, but absolutely wanted to change, empower yourself, and are now empowering others. Is there anything that you would like to share before we end the conversation today?
And thank you. Oh, yeah. One other item I'd like to share is two things. Is one, when you do this work with me, I can guarantee you this, you will get a voice like you've never had in your life.
Mm.
And why I can say that is when we clear the limiting emotions that are, as I talked about earlier, squashing the notes in your voice,
Mm.
then all the notes in your voice can be heard and you will be heard and seen like you've never been before. And may I also add, Aren't we all kind of a secret closet singer as well? Right? We have an inner voice.
Yeah, we
Well,
do.
that inner voice is our authentic self, which we
Mm,
always keep suppressed. Well, that this will liberate that. And
mm.
I will that's what I do when we do those sessions. I encourage people to start singing too, so they can really appreciate the shifts that have happened in their voice and which is of course in their life. So, and then the other item I wanted to share is that no matter what you have gone through, no matter how horrible it seems and hopeless it seems, that this will patterns will never end. The relationships you're drawing, the situations that were negative that you're drawing in your life, how you feel that you're not able to clear things out of your mind, no matter what techniques or affirmations you do, there is a way out. It's
Mm.
a program that came from your past, but they can be cleared and you can have the life you desired and you can be your true authentic self.
100%. Thank you so much for those last super empowering words. Truth shouted from the rooftops. Thank you so much, Deepak. I really appreciate you and I'm so grateful to you.
Thank you so much, Ruth.
If you loved and enjoyed today's conversation, please comment. I love to talk to anyone or share, subscribe, and like my podcast. And of course, always remember that you are love, you are light, and you are already whole. Keep glowing. Much love.